Hey, how's it going? So the question that came up is essentially, what is a funnel? This has come up in conversation multiple times, and this video is just something simple to put together real quick to explain what that is. You see, the majority of websites out there, they're treated as really big billboards. So imagine, you're just on the highway and you're driving on by, and you see this billboard, right? And on the billboard, it might display a product or some kind of high quality picture, whatever someone's waving at you, whatever the case may be. Whatever you see on the highway. What are they showing these days? Welcome to Vegas. Whatever they put in the on the billboards, essentially, right? Well, a lot of websites do this. A lot of websites, they'll do stuff like they'll have like a ton of URLs and links and all kinds of details and pictures and maybe a ton of products and all these different things and stuff like that. And it just overwhelms the customer, like whoever the visitor is, and they see all these things and they're like, what is all this stuff? What am I gonna do? Like, what am I supposed to do with that, right? Well, what a funnel is a type of style of website. A website that basically takes your visitor from wherever they're coming from, whatever means of traffic, whether it's SEO or paid per view, like Facebook ads, for example, or you literally just give them a link and you say, hey, check out this website, right? And the funnel essentially takes them through this journey. And the point of the journey is to take them to an end result, or the best place you can take them, the best value you can give them for whatever their pain point is, right? And so in this circumstance, we're going to go ahead and use the example of a dojo, right? So in a dojo's case, there's a variety of things that can be done, depending on the martial art or what you're doing. I mean, some martial arts are clearly more effective than others, just saying. But no judgment. But anyways, you do you. But in terms of a dojo, for example, let's just take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? So you got BJJ, right? Like some of the things that can be done with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, anti-bullying. You can do street fighting stuff. You can do competition if you want to, right? So these are just some different pain points. But just for the sake of this tutorial or this video, if you will, we're going to go ahead and handle bullying. So one of the pain points that might occur in terms of bullying is you might, have a person that has like, hey, I have a son or daughter, and she or he keeps getting bullied. Like, how do I handle that, right? So the moment the customer comes in the door, assuming they come into the door, they come into the door. A funnel, the way it functions is essentially you're taking their hand and you're showing them through. First of all, the journey, I would recommend the journey and how you're relatable and how you've dealt with all this yourself, or you have testimonials or examples or some kind of story that shows this illustration of basically getting from point A to point B. Point B obviously being how to be bully proof, essentially. Bully proof, right? That's what essentially is. So where the customer is coming, the pain point is getting bullied, and they want to get to the end of this point in their journey where they're bully proof, essentially. So what your funnel would do is essentially take them from step to step and show them like, well, this is like, for example, you can say like, hey, I have like this one secret that's anti-bullying, right? The one thing you gotta know, and then that's a very sexy thing about, in terms of like marketing anything, is giving one thing, right? Like it's very like, it's a very powerful marketing technique, right? Because like there's so many things out there, people are throwing all kinds of things at you, all kinds of different techniques and stuff like that. But like if you were to pick just one thing, and the thing is, our attention spans are really small, right? We have very low attention spans. And because we have attention spans, if you start throwing a bunch of things out there, then people, they're not going to pay attention. They're going to move on to the next thing, right? So if you focus on one thing, just get the one thing to focus on, then they get excited. They want to see what this is. Basically, it's more attractive and it requires less glucose on the brain in terms of like thinking about it, right? So if you were to take them into like, oh, this is one thing, this anti-bullying thing, right? The one thing could be, I don't know, running away. No, that's not always the case, of course, of the corny or stuff like that. There's a lot of psychological things involved with bullying, but just in terms of like avoiding a fight, or if you were to pick one thing, that's something to brainstorm and to think about. It could be like this one technique, or tell the teacher, or hold your ground. There's so many things. There's so many different things you can do. Or I saw this one video recently where they were like, this one, I think it was a psychologist of some kind, and he basically was just like, compliment the bully, diffuse the bully, because the bully, if he gets off on the control. He gets off on trying to, get you riled up and basically tear you down. But if you're showing that it's not affecting you, easier said than done for younger generation stuff, because their egos are a lot bigger and they're not as self-aware. But in that circumstance, if you take away the power, they can't continue. They're going to lose interest and walk away, essentially. So, but anyways, the point being is if you do illustrate that you do have one secret, or you do have something that you can show them, because ultimately your goal is to first show them what they want and then provide what they need later, right? Because you can't sell anything in terms of you can't sell people what they need. Nobody cares about that. They want things. They want to know certain things, right? So you might even get people that come into the dojo that's like, I want to be able to throw 1,000 punches. Then it's like, we're BJJ. We don't do striking. What are you talking about? So so it's understandable if you do supplement, some courses or something that's like, well, let me give them what they want and then give them what they need. Well, what you need to do is to be able to, control the spacing and, whatever the case is, right? And not actually break the person you're defending against, because then there might be lawsuits and stuff like that. So that's something they need, anti-lawsuit stuff, right? So, but anyways, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but it's all related to the same thing, right? So essentially, you're taking them through this journey. You're showing them either through your storyline or someone else's storyline, or perhaps a student, basically, of how you were bullied all the time, or the case may be, or your student was bullied, and they came to a point where they were bully proof, essentially, right? And you would take them through this journey and show them from stage one all the way up to the final stage, essentially, if they're willing to go to the final stage, right? You're going to show them how to become bully proof, right? And that can be in the form of a variety of products, basically, with the intention of going from your first product, which can be like a very weak sauce product, all the way up to a very high ticket product, right? So, for example, the beginning could literally be like, and this right here, this illustration here is known as a value ladder. Very powerful stuff. And towards the end of this video, I can show you this really powerful book that really dives deeper into concepts like this. And I know a place where you can get it for absolutely free. You just have to pay for shipping if you're interested in diving deeper in regards to this matter. If not, you don't have to bother with that. Basically, you can just watch this video. But yeah, if you want to immerse yourself and like really understand some of these marketing techniques, I highly recommend it. It's an excellent read. It really illustrates like a lot of the marketing techniques that I have learned throughout the years. Basically, not even technique, strategy. Techniques change, tactics change, but strategy that's like evergreen, right? Strategies are like super important, like in terms of human psychology and why people buy, where they stay, like that doesn't change. People congregate together. Like in terms of like martial arts, there are people that care about that and they group together and they nerd out about it. They grow together, all that stuff, I'm sure you can see there's tons of Facebook groups and stuff, like type in martial art Facebook group and bam, I got a bunch. But in any case, this value ladder, the thing that's really important is because you got to have this mentality of always taking them to the next point in the journey or the next point in the value ladder. So the first part of the journey can be essentially, a free class, right? You can offer a free class there. And then the other thing to always keep in mind is you always want to have some form of continuity plan. This is a great way to have stability in your business. So in the case of like a BJJ dojo, right? There's a variety of continuity plans that can happen. Like a kid's continuity plan, adult continuity plan, like unlimited classes, for example, and then pay a monthly of some kind and just keep going. So all these other things, let's say the free class or anything else up on the value ladder will essentially always point them back to this continuity plan where you set them up on a monthly thing so they can continue learning, essentially. But along the lines, there's all kinds of different things here, right? So for example, like your middle thing can be like the one-on-one training, right? And however you want to price that out in terms of like the dojo gets a percentage or you pay the trainer completely, whatever the case may be, because again, if they do the 101 and they get fixed on this, it brings them back to the continuity plan, which is fantastic, right? But this could be one of the things along the journey, like, hey, let me sit you down 101 or stand up or on your knees or whatever the case is, depending on, what you're doing for the martial art. But this could be one of your middle products, and the top product could literally be like think about the best possible thing you can offer, like whatever it is. It could be a 12-week immersive boot camp where you go to some crazy place, right? It could be a beach or whatever, bring out the mats and do jujitsu and on the beach, or the case may be, and this could be a package for like $2,500 or something like that, right? Or whatever the case is, and you can literally rent out like this place to stay at, bring a bunch of students or whatever the case, and literally just do some crazy training. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that too. Like some of the top people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they have seminars and really big events where, they invite other students and other teachers over and stuff like that, and you can charge for that. And people that are hungry and they want that, they can pay for that too. But in the circumstance of bullying, of course, you want to actually do the anti-bullying. I know, like in the case of Henry Gracie, one of the things he literally does is he'll if he hears a really good story of a person that got bullied, he will literally fly them out, and this will be completely for free, and train them for like several weeks. I don't remember the period. I'm sure you could YouTube it or whatever, but he literally flies them out and he just trains them like all this anti-bully stuff, like takes them to the dojo, and it just takes them through this amazing transformation. And the thing is, that's absolutely for free. That's 100% for free. And when he does that, it creates so much value, and it's such an amazing testimonial, because the people can see this transformation of the child, like being, getting beat up, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I can take on anybody, and they get strong, they get confident, they're not afraid anymore. And, stuff like that. But yeah, that in a nutshell is what a funnel does. And kind of more from a practical standpoint in terms of what it looks like is usually what you start off with is some kind of opt-in, right? Like from the internet standpoint, right? So the opt-in is basically, there's a bunch of ways to do different opt-ins. For example, one could be like a lead generation thing, right? This is where you can give value up front, and like, hey, I'm going to give you this in exchange for an email. And this is very powerful, because when you give something for free, people are more likely to trust you than if you're just trying to take away. Like, hey, give me this, no reason, just give it to me. Like, I'll help you out or whatever. Like, you've given no value yet. They have no reason to trust you. There's no credibility there. But in the circumstance in which you offer them something free first, they're more willing to give you the email. And like an example, going back to the bottom of the very, very first offer, your value ladder, say the free class, right? So you offer the free class, and it's like, hey, opt in, and I'll arrange a free class for you. That's great. You're giving that value there off the front, basically. And mind you, one of the most important things about the first offer, the intention ever is never to make money off of the first the first step of the value ladder. That's never the intention. What you want to do with the first step of the value ladder is basically to get them on your list. Your goal is to break even. And the way you break even with this is, say you run an ad, right? You run an ad that's taking them to this opt-in page, right? Say you spend $10. Right. This is a very, very important concept. And the concept is the competitor or the person in any industry that spends the most on acquiring customers, they're going to win, right? This is extremely important. Like, let's just go on a quick sidetrack to illustrate this, because it's so important. Take McDonald's, for example, right? So you have the double arches in McDonald's, right? So the majority of things, let's say they'll do an advertisement for you to buy a burger, to buy a burger, right? When you get there, I don't know what the price is for the burger now, because I don't eat at McDonald's. That place is garbage. I'm all about that healthy stuff now. No, but let's say they spend $1 on an ad, or whatever the case may be, and then you come in and you buy a burger, right? You buy a burger, the burger costs $1. All right, so they spend $1 on so many people, or whatever the case is, they come in to buy $1. You broke even, right? They didn't make any money for that. But an interesting thing is, when you drive to the drive-thru, or whatever the case may be, for them to give you that food, right? Or actually, before they give you the food, it's when you're making the order. So this is a terrible illustration. But when you go to make the order, the first thing they ask you is, hey, would you like fries with that, right? Do you want to upsell, or do you want to upsize your? Actually, I don't know if they say that anymore. But basically, they ask you. I think now they ask you, like, what size do you want it? So they don't say, do you want to upsize? Do you want a large order? They say, what size do you want it? And they'll usually say like medium or large. So they won't say small, they'll say medium or large. So it's still kind of like ninja, like, hey, do you want the larger one, basically? And the thing is, this stuff is the upsell, right? So all of a sudden they charge you $1, for the burger, but now they're charging you for fries. They're charging you for what do you call it? What do you call this thing? Soda, or whatever the case may be, right? And all of a sudden they're making a profit, right? It's the same concept with your value ladder. Is you necessarily won't make money on the first step of the value ladder. I mean, if you do, cool. But your goal is just to break even. And mind you, you might not even break even. Like in the case here for McDonald's, like say they spend technically $5 or whatever, right, in ads, and then they don't even make that back, right? Say it's like $5. People come in, they've spent $1 on a burger, right? They don't make this back, but they will eventually from these upsells, right? And that's one of the most powerful things with a funnel is the upsells. And this is how like tons of entrepreneurs are making so much money online because of this upsell concept, right? So in that circumstance, using that logic, going back to the funnel ladder, a value ladder, you might not even break even on this first part of your what do you call it? Your value ladder, the first offer you have. You might break even from 1 or 2 upsells going up the ladder, right? But that's something you have to determine. And once you determine that, then you know you can spend more, or whatever the case may be. And the more you spend, it's basically free. It comes to a point where it's free publicity, because every time you spend money, it's like an ATM machine, right? Money just comes out. You just get money. It just comes out. You put money in, it comes out. That's basically what happens, right? So, but going back to the more technical aspect, a typical funnel usually starts off with some kind of opt-in, and the opt-in is just to build your list. And why the list is important is because when you build your list, you can always go back to your customers. You can always go there and give them something they need. You can always pay them back, or not pay, what am I talking about? You can always give them another offer. And the thing with customers is they will always buy from you unless you offend them. I think that's it. Is there any other reason? You offend them, or they don't have money, right? I think those are 2 primary things. There might be some other ones, but like if they like you and you keep telling them like, hey, check out this cool offer, check out this new thing to buy, they're gonna keep buying. Why not? They like you, right? They trust you. So typically this is the first step you usually see in most funnels is the opt-in, and then after that, and this is extremely important too, as well as the thank you page. You always want to show that appreciation to your concept. Like I can't tell you, there's so many entrepreneurs out there that they emphasize this, the importance of gratitude and showing appreciation. You even see this in YouTube too. Like how many times you see, a popular YouTuber, and what am I even drawing right now? You'll see a popular YouTuber always thanking, their fans, like, hey, thanks for your support, because you guys, I can do this, I can live my dream and stuff like that. And it's the same thing for any business, like in order for a business to prosper, they need their customers to do that, and the only reason you should be having customers is because your customer has a pain, right? And you're trying to help them solve it, So, and if you're not helping them solve it and you have the solution, it's an injustice, You have this opportunity to serve them and to give them something they need to help relieve the pain, So you definitely want to do that. So if you have a ton of value, a ton of different offers, even if it's a this high ticket thing, item or whatever at the top of your ladder, whatever the case may be, if it genuinely is going to help them, give them that value, give it to them, right? And the thing is with when once you have your email list, you can keep sending them back, Every time you have something on a new value ladder, you can, and all these individual topics I'm talking about, I can elaborate more and more and more, they're pretty big topics. And like I said, there's a book that elaborates on a good chunk of it. Like it's like, if you were to pick one book right now for internet marketing, like I would definitely get it. So I'll provide that link inside, wherever I'm posting this. Like if I'm sending it in a message, then it'll be somewhere in the message. If I'm posting this on like a Facebook page or something, you'll see it somewhere on the Facebook page, whatever the case would be. But the point is if you want to check that out, again, it is free. All you gotta do is pay for shipping essentially. But to wrap this up, essentially, this is usually what you'll see for the first type of funnel is simply an opt-in into a thank you page, right? But there's all kinds of other things you can do. You can have a visual sales letter, right, where basically like takes them through the journey and tells them like you can have a video at the top explaining like, hey, I was bullied all the time when I was in high school, but then, I learned this one technique and I always, and it prevented me from getting bullied ever again. Like whenever bullies would come up to me, like I would never feel scared or threatened. I would laugh at their jokes and humble myself basically. And usually what ends up happening is all the bullies would end up becoming my friends. And actually that's a true story. Like I can't, like, I remember being bullied a lot, and somehow I'd always be friends with the bullies. And in many cases it was, so some cases it was very, it was an interesting experience to say the least, because the majority, I noticed a lot of the bullies, they're very troubled. They have a lot of trouble, like at home, like they have issues like with the parents and stuff like that. So right now I have a lot of psychological knowledge and stuff like that. So it would have been crazy to interact with them back then. But back then I didn't have as much knowledge, so it's kind of uncomfortable at times, because it's like, I don't know what to do here, like. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked again. The point is, you can have a visual sales letter where you're basically telling them, taking them, like I mentioned before, taking them through this journey, right? And you're basically telling them, the solution to a product, and you're selling them on it essentially on inside this this video basically, and telling them your journey and how you overcame bullying, right? And that you have the solution for it. And then the next step inside this funnel would be like an order form of some kind that's basically selling them. Let's say you're doing a course online that's like my anti-bully course. Now again, if you're doing a dojo, of course it can be something that gets them in the door basically. But if you did do something virtual, you can put the order right here, and in that order, on that order form, you'd get them one of the offers inside your value ladder, right? And you can do some pretty crazy elaborate things too when it comes to a funnel, because while you get this information from them, you can also add them to a list that lets you know, like, hey, they brought this product, which in turn lets you do an email sequence, basically a series of emails to sell them on the next thing. So remember what I said at the beginning of the value ladder, like you always want to move them to the next thing, right? Well, you can do this with email sequences, and every time they buy a product, you can do a different sequence, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be emails, though this is extremely powerful. Some argue it's the bloodline to any online business, right? So it's definitely extremely important, because it's free. It's free basically. Like you send out an email, they see, you put your product in front of them, and like back in the day, like when you had like physical mail, you had to pay for the paper and the shipping and all that stuff, and it's just a hassle. But now, literally, you send this out electronically, and you put your product in front of the right people. They're gonna buy, right? So very powerful stuff. But in any case, going back to the technical aspects of this funnel, right? You had the visual sales letter, you go to the order form, and the next thing after that, right? The next thing after that, you have you can have like a one-time sales offer, right? Which is basically an upsell. And on this, it can be something like, hey, you know what? So I have this anti-bullying thing, right? This is the one thing that's going to help you become bully-proof, right? But you know what? If you get this now, whatever your offer is, this is the next thing. And again, you always want to make the next thing. So this could be the next thing on your value ladder, or, more or less it's probably what's going to be, right? But yeah, this OTO would be the next thing. And if they want to buy it, cool, fantastic. You just, made them money. If they don't want to buy it, that's okay. They just move on to a thank you page, And you can build more complex, funnels and stuff like that. Like there's, again, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but I did just want to give you a taste of what funnels are about, essentially. And this is more or less, a good demonstration of it. Of course, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to elaborate further. But again, if you do want to dive deeper, I do recommend that book. Again, I'll provide you a link outside this video, and the only thing it charges for is for shipping. So, and I don't know what the shipping is. It's nothing crazy. I mean, it's a book. How much is it to ship a book, right? But if you really want to go deep, like this book goes so deep, so deep. But and yeah, if you have any specific questions regarding it, I'll be more than happy to elaborate further. So yeah, let me know. Give me your feedback. Was this video helpful, or if I mean, if it's not, let me know too. Like I don't want to leave crappy content up here, So, but yeah, the intention is to help out. So I hope this was helpful. So yeah, I'll see you around.